My guests here seated in the studio, and we want to talk about something pretty interesting. We want to look at deepfakes and potential threats to 2027 elections. Now, look, as Nigeria prepares for the 2027 general elections, one issue that is rapidly becoming impossible to ignore is the growing role of artificial intelligence in political communication and the very real threat of AI powered disinformation. You may not know this, you may not be aware of this, but it's pretty, very serious. A new report by SB Morgan titled the Algorithm and the Ballot Box paint a troubling picture, and we'll try as much as possible to get into it right now on the show with you out there. So you're most welcome to join us for this conversation here. I'm Sheriff Quatri. I've got Vina here, and I have David Ajikobi here. I have Ikemesit Effiong is also here from SBM Intelligence. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having us.
David, why are you doing like...
You understand now.
They need to demure.
David, by the way, is a former colleague, and he worked here on Nigeria Info. He's gone on now to making very big bucks now. He's forming big man for me. But welcome, guys. Welcome. It's good to have you here.
Absolute pleasure.
Let me start with you, Ikemesit. For listeners who haven't read the report, what is the central warning in the algorithm of the ballot box?
The key thesis of the report, right, is that AI and deepfakes can be deployed in a way that can dramatically change the impressions of Nigerians around candidates, around the issues, right, that are likely to shape the discourse in the lead up to the elections, and also that many Nigerians recognize that threat and they're quite concerned about it. According to the findings of our report, and we polled Nigerians in 8 states and the Federal Capital Territory, covering all geopolitical zones. 66.5% of them said they're concerned about AI's potential role, right, in these elections. When you marry that with low fact-checking behavior on the part of Nigerians, the fact that social media is now, according to the findings of this report, the most important source of news for Nigerians, and also the fact that and also the technical capabilities of artificial intelligence, the fact that you can whip up malign voice notes, malign text, malign videos, right, and deploy them across all channels, and the cost and the barrier for entry is practically just the cost of a data bundle, right, and the likes. It portends significant risks for the elections, which everyone, starting from Nigerians, scaling up through to government, the media, civil society, other important stakeholders in between, should be very minded about.
People don't know that AI-powered disinformation content online now are getting very sophisticated. I will see some videos lately, and I will have to go to the comment to go and find out if Grok would tell me whether it's AI or not, because I can't tell, to be honest with you. They're before you used to be able to tell maybe something is missing one leg or something is missing one eye somewhere. Well, now it's very sophisticated, getting that level. David, why is AI-driven misinformation considered a greater threat to the 2027 elections than traditional fake news?
Well, essentially, it's because it could be targeted, right? So, if I wanted to target, say, students at the University of Lagos, I could do it easily, because you could technically engineer it to target people. So imagine we live in a country where we have different ethnic groups, different religions, and different things like that. So, and that's for us. That's where the problem is. So if you marry that with our complexities with AI, or automated or AI disinformation, it becomes a big problem. And with the SBM Intelligence report, it keys into some of the things we've already been screaming about. There is fire on the mountain, right? But it sounded like we were the ones saying it. But now this is a independent report that shows what the problem is and where we might get it wrong in 2027 if we're not careful. I'll give you an example. At Africa Check, we've been covering elections since 2015. We've been looking at disinformation around the election or election-related disinformation. Now, in 2015, the electoral umpire, INEC, did not think it was a problem. In 2019, it became, look, guys, hold on. This is, by 2023, it became a critical part of INEC's work right? Because they realized very quickly somebody would sit in a bedroom, write fake election results, put INEC logo and the name of the rec, put a fake signature and JPEG it, and put it on WhatsApp. And then you know what could happen.
Yeah.
And then by 2027, if you look at the peace accord that was signed in Osun in Ekiti States, disinformation was the second critical point in the peace accord that the party signed, where the civil society said, look, you and your supporters, should agree that you will not spread disinformation around these elections. But you see what happened in Ekiti. It still did happen. So circling back to answering that question again is that AI influenced disinformation can actually be targeted, and it's very dangerous, and it can go very, very viral.
Give me an example of a targeted disinformation that happened recently.
The purported voice note, the AI voice note that was generated, purported to
of the president.
Yeah, of the president.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
that's a deep fake.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And sometimes we think when Ikemesit said it's low access, it's because the AI tools are actually, some of them are free, right? So all I have to do is put in Sherry's voice over this, just a few keywords, you pronouncing them, right? And then I can develop a script and it will come out as if it's Sheriff. And the problem is, if I deploy that, I won't deploy it to TV or radio, no. I'll send it to WhatsApp. So the level of verification on WhatsApp is very, very low. And it can transcend from WhatsApp platform to Facebook and to other platforms like that. The problem is also that we live in this part of the country where there's internet is higher than the northern part of the country, where they really depend on radio. We've seen cases where a radio producer sees something on WhatsApp and broadcasts.
Yes,
it has happened. It has happened before.
Oh yes,
where people actually died. It had a real life consequences.
And it caused a huge issue.
Yes. So that's the problem. We saw examples in India. We saw examples in Ethiopia. We don't want to wait till it becomes a bigger problem in Nigeria.
Can I say at this point, then we need to be strategic about the kind of information that is out there and who are the gatekeepers. And the reason I'm putting this question to you is you have done your own research. You found out a couple things. How can Nigerians determine? How can they know a deep fake when they see one?
I think it's first and foremost to look out for what is likely to be put out there, right? And we build out 5 possible scenarios that are likely to check out in the 2027 elections. We talked about the ethnic voice note, that one we've already seen being deployed, people using generating voice notes that contain inflammatory messages, right, that are targeted at a particular religion, a particular ethnicity, and the like. One of the things that we're increasingly seeing, and I know that Afghan Check has done a significant amount of work in that space, is AI deepfakes in Nigerian languages, and that's a really huge one because when you compare the fact checking capability, right, but also the impulse on the part of consumers to fact check an information which is deployed in their own language is a lot lower, right, than in English. Yeah, so that's one scenario, right, to look out for.
That's a big problem.
It's a major one. Problem. You also have the fake result announcement. We saw a lot of it in 2023. The way we described it in the report was 2023 was sort of like the genesis of AI generated misinformation and deepfake. 2027 will be Nigeria's first proper AI election. This will be the election that will happen like in the deep throes of the AI era, and the likelihood for fake results to be announced right outside of official channels is quite significant. We also have the fake religious endorsement, and I think the genesis of sort of this stripped away from the elections was where you saw a fair amount of religious leaders and celebrities. It was all over the place, especially in 2024 and 2025, coming out to endorse Ponzi schemes, fake investment schemes, and the likes. Right?
I saw quite a number of videos online of popular media personalities endorsing this, endorsing that. I mean, it's so huge.
Aisha didn't use your face.
I didn't see any. I saw Konjewala. I saw some media personalities as well. I saw all kinds of people.
Yeah. Somebody like, if you remember, somebody like Kadiri Ahmed and Shirokin Bailo, there are still pages on Facebook that are using their names and their likeness to sell things.
Now imagine what that would do in 2027.
Exactly. Exactly. Then you have the coordinated robocall campaign, and I think this is quite interesting because you may have probably noticed an uptick in the number of, if you have Truecaller, if you have, they have that verifies the identity of people who call you. You may probably notice an uptick of random phone calls from strange places.
Phone calls. Yes.
Liberia, Equatorial Guinea.
Oh yes, I have.
Turkmenistan,
Yes,
the
I
likes
have.
and all of that stuff.
I have.
There are content farms, some of which are here in Nigeria, and we do know from research, Africa Check has done some of that research, that West Africa is a hub of a lot of these content farms where people literally sit down, have access to leaked databases of phone numbers as well as the personal information of vast swathes of people, including Nigerians, and they just sit down and they just mass call people. There is a heightened likelihood, right, that robocall campaigns that seed specific targeted messaging, like he was talking about earlier, if you wanted to target, say, for example, university students, is likely to happen. So you could see targeted messaging that affects particular states, particular regions that may known or are expected to be electorally competitive and the likes, with the kind of messaging which could have the effect of depressing turnout or affecting turnout somewhat, and that could favor the political party or the
Whoever
political interest of whoever
Yeah.
it is that's being deployed. And then the fifth one, and I think this is the most sinister one, is sort of the liar's dividend attack. So in an environment where people are skeptical about information because there is a lot of fake information out there, right, as they should, consumers are likely to take that skepticism to the extreme where they begin to distrust all forms of
Everything
evidence
that comes
including legitimate evidence, right? And the chances are, if we don't get a handle on the potential of AI and deepfakes, right, to mastermind all of those four scenarios, the end product will be the fifth one, which would have the effect of depressing trust in the system and potentially turnout.
Let me jump in at this point. We need to go on a break, Lagos. I'll be back.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We'll be right back.
Co-funded by the European Union and the Danish Dairy Board.
No firewood, no charcoal. Say hello to the new no smoky party. If you want that smoky flavor, that delights your taste buds. New no smoky party, jollof, jollof. New no smoky party, jollof, smoky party.
Enjoy the new Norse Smoky Party Jollof seasoning.
Give me no, give me smoky party, jollof.
You know say sometimes people no sabi as their data they take finish. Come, make me wey be phone show una as it dey happen. As my owner dey sleep, I go dey do things wey you no know. If you do na sign make I do auto update. When you change gear na correct sign make I do cloud backup. And if you go enter gear 3 na to allow all your apps collect overnight duty even when you no dey use am. You know say I gats know wetin dey sup for online na. Oya, see wetin you go do when you wake up.
Chineke! Hey! Data why stop don finish oh!
I no tell you.
Shine your eye. Make your phone no do oblay on top your data. Monitor your auto updates. Clear background apps and close unused tabs whenever you load data on your phone. Enjoy your data and leave it 100.
Lagos people know quality. You have worked for the best. Your car should match your standard. Cherry by Kaloha gives you 6 years of free service, 6 years warranty, and if anything happens, fixed within 7 days. Or we hand you a courtesy car. 667. Your Cherry protected the way Lagos demands. Visit a Kaloha showroom in Lagos today to enjoy peace of mind.
T's and C's apply.
Cherry by Kaloha. Excellence in after sales.
Time they go. Bet Jarabi Chef you would go bet. And thousands of people don't collect their own already. You still dey wait? This free money, no deposit, no wahala. Just go betjara.ng. Enter promo code FREEWC26. Claim your free bet and start winning big. Make you no miss this chance after you chop free bet. Deposit small. Collect 200% bonus. Join for the big there. Join the Bet Jara Bet Race Tournament and win daily free bets throughout the World Cup. Promo code now FREEWC26. Visit betjara.ng now. Before you finish, sharply run go betjara.ng/World Cup. To the win yafun. Bet Jara. Get Jara. 18 plus. Play responsibly.
The nation's most brilliant young minds gear up for the National Secondary School Debate Tournament. It's the season finale of the I Beg to Differ Secondary Schools Debate Tournament Season 9. 10th of August at 3 p.m. Lagos, Abuja, and Port Harcourt will come alive. Champions from Abuja, Port Harcourt, and Lagos will go shoulder to shoulder for the crown of the Champion of Champions. 16 secondary schools, 3 daily debates, 4 weeks of intense matchups. Who will be the champion of champions of the I Beg to Differ Season 9? The final lap of the journey begins August 10 at 3 p.m. For sponsorship inquiries, email info@nigeriainfo.fm or I Beg to Differ @nigeriainfo.fm. I Beg to Differ, the Tournament of Champions.
So debaters, the floor is now yours.
There they go again. There's always drama in my family group chats. Good thing I'm making something they can all agree on. My signature Maggi native jollof rice. One taste, end of discussion.
Maggi Star is crafted from fermented soybeans, onions, chili flavor, and cloves.
Dinner, come in peace or don't come at all.
Making every meal special and special moments unforgettable.
Start your day and have a good time. Even when you need to clear your eyes. Or when you need to have the break time. If not tea, up or Gary time.
Good time moments with Kivo Creamer.
Ologo Market, 3,500 naira. Oh, goodness. Limits they choke you. Have no choice? Join InDrive. You can choose a ride, passenger, and negotiate the price that benefits to both of you. Wow, freedom! InDrive. Fairness to earn more. InDrive connects drivers and clients and is not a taxi service. It is not responsible for agreements between users. Learn more at indrive.com.
In Lagos today, security is not something you leave to chance. Nemtech Electric Fencing creates a powerful barrier that helps keep intruders out before damage is done. Protect your home, your business, your warehouse, and your hustle. Supplied through Nemtech authorized gold partners and installed by approved installers across Nigeria. Available nationwide. Nemtech Electric Security Fencing, a fence that detects and stops intruders. Nemtech Electric Fencing, protecting Nigerians for more than 20 years.
The spotlight is always on the issues that deserve attention.
The flooding I saw yesterday in parts of Accra.
What's that Nigeria? But secretly, stop it.
Sam Filling has done it. And who is the biggest Sam Filler in Lagos?
Custodians of the law.
He's saying we should not blame Tinubu. Tinubu will not be in the front line.
Can't negotiate the right route by taking a wrong turn.
Right on the station that talks. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Let's talk.
This is Hard Facts.
Welcome back to Hard Facts here on Nigeria Info 99.3. David Ajacobi from Africa Check is here. Ikemesit Effiong from SBM Intelligence is also here. Gentlemen, I know that I have to let you go, but let's start with David. Let's talk about the actors. Talk to me about that.
So part of what the report by SBM and what we've also done is to look at the typology of actors in political misinformation and disinformation and what we will see in 2027. So we have what people will call the data boys. Remember?
Oh yes.
These people get paid. They get paid,
yes.
right? They are behind the phone, iPad, laptop, right? So then we have the WhatsApp broadcast group coordinators.
Okay.
We saw an upsurge of this in 2023. Of course, we couldn't scrape the WhatsApp, but people self-reported that they belonged to 50, 40 WhatsApp groups that were that were coordinating and sending out things, in barrages and things like that. So that's a problematic one. Then people who claim to be online news online news websites or alternative online news websites. You know, so when Nigeria Info takes the news at 6 or whatever it is, so they claim there's a conspiracy happening somewhere. It's not what it is, you know, and things like that. And you know, sometimes conspiracy theories have a way of spreading, right? So there might be there might be truth points in the conspiracy theory, but the narrative itself is
but
rubbish.
they have a way of blending it in something that looks like true, but it's not true.
Then we have the social media influencers. Unfortunately, Nigeria's political influence industry has really blossomed since 2019, right? So we have in fact I once saw the budget of a political party, and a chunk of it was dedicated to social media influencers, and I thought that was a bit painful because what that meant was that, you know, yes, you can tell people to talk about your party, your candidate, and all of that, but when you pay influencers, what do you think is going to happen in the Nigerian context? They possibly will help you spread this information. And then the last part is, like we said, thought leaders and things like that. But also, our elections are not in a bubble. We also have what we call foreign information manipulation and interference.
Foreign,
yes. So I'll let Ikemesit just speak to that.
It's good that you're throwing that my way. So I mean, one aspect of the report was that we asked Nigerians which countries they think are quite interested in sort of political developments in Nigeria, and the US was the US was the country that was cited by Nigerians as sort of the dominant actor, right? In that space, the UK to a lesser extent. We got a lot of responses around the theme, though, of the influence of money, and especially foreign currency, right? So lots of people actually said, you know, the US dollar, so it's not necessarily the United States, but just the fact that during election season, right, US dollars flow. And you know, it's quite interesting now. I think I read, right, this morning that the US House, right, is considering a resolution, right, which would restrict funding and security support,
it's done
right?
already.
Yeah, for Nigeria.
It's done.
Okay, it's done already.
Yes, it's done.
Yes. If the security situation, right, is not alleged,
that's right.
That may have a low-key flow-through effect on the availability, right, of foreign currency to sort of have the sort of organizing effect that it generally does have during the elections. But one thing is clear from the research, which is that Nigerians are also aware that you know, Nigeria may not dominate the foreign news headlines, right, 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, but our elections are not a passing interest. There are countries that are really interested in what's going on down.
Very true. Let me talk to you about recommendations before we go. What are you recommending?
Okay, so first, the first key thing is that we have a number of fact-checking agencies. I mean, David will spank me if I don't talk about fact-checking, right? While we're here, but also other fact-checking mechanisms, right? So whether it's through the mechanism of Africa Check, there's a National Fact-Checking Coalition. There are even some content creators that have come together and they have a fact-checking sort of dynamic, or they do some public education, right, around that. So increasing public education around fact-checking is critical. Spotlighting those platforms, please. For those of us who are listening, go check out Africa Check. They've been doing this for years. They've done excellent and stellar work right in that direction. It's very important because fact-checking rates in Nigeria across the board, across the country, but there's some regions that are worse than others, are really low. It would help if INEC has AI detection guidelines and it publishes them, and it is very loud about those, right? As subsidiary legislation, and if it can come out with those set of guidelines before the end of the year. One of the things that INEC does is whenever INEC does a thing, everyone is compelled to talk about it. So at the very least, the entire idea of misinformation, deepfakes, and all of that will be in the spotlight around the period where INEC publishes, and it sort of publicizes that. So that would be great. It would be good if something of a national media literacy campaign. I'm looking at the National Orientation Agency, right? But we have our views about the NOA. Not many of us are impressed with his track record necessarily, but it would be good if we have something of a national media literacy campaign, especially in Nigerian languages. We can start with the major Nigerian languages, right, and cascade. This is not just a problem that exists in English or in Pidgin, right? If you've strayed into the corners of YouTube and TikTok, where very excellent Yoruba and Igbo language romance and, you know, very sappy storytelling content you'd recognize that Nigerian language AI information just generally has grown in leaps and
Yes, it
bounds,
has.
and that obviously means
Yes, it
that
has.
the space exists for malign actors to take advantage of that for the purposes of influencing our elections. And then finally, a report talked about the Southeast being a particular zone of concern. The vast majority of our respondents from the Southeast have social media, right, as their predominant source of information. They have the lowest fact-checking rates in the country. They have the lowest trust rates, both in INEC but also in institutions, right, in general. And it states that historically, from an electoral perspective, has not always flown to incumbents generally. So we expect it to be politically competitive in this particular cycle. All of that seems to suggest to us that specific targeted misinformation campaigns using artificial intelligence tools can be specifically deployed against residents, right, in the Southeast in a way that could depress turnout, and it could materially affect the outcome of the elections. So targeting the Southeast specifically in terms of encouraging verification, behavioral change, in terms of the kind of focus that the media but also fact-checking organizations, right, have. One of the things that David and I have been saying as we've been talking about this report is it would be great if media organizations have like a misinformation fact-checking segment, right? If not in all programs, but in time belt, in premium time belts, right? So that we also teach Nigerians, because it may be that the interest is there, but the technical know-how doesn't exist, right? So this is the trending topic on social media. Is it legitimate or is it fake, right? And then we slowly nudge behavior, right, in that direction, and hopefully a combination of all of those tools, right, advances us further.
Gentlemen, I wouldn't like to keep you any further, but any last words before we go?
I will leave the final words to you.
So it's not all
doom and
gloom, yeah. So there's a lot of potential to do good, and also fight it, because like you said, a combination of tools, debunking, media literacy, particularly to first-time voters, right? So we think that if INEC is ready to partner with to have some of those structures in place, we stand a fighting chance,
and we can use AI as a tool to counter these challenges as well.
For example, at Africa Check, we collaborated with Full Fact AI, that's a UK fact-checking organization, to build what we call Candidates AI, where we're looking at not just candidates in the elections, but actors, and we're checking what they are saying on radio, on TV, in local languages and things like that, and it's been very impressive. We want to do more with that for the 2027 elections.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. David, Africa Check, Ikemesit Effiong, SBM Intelligence. Gentlemen, you've been great. Thank you for the good work. I think we should have more of these conversations because like I said to you guys off the air, it scares me. If you see what AI can do, you would know that it can be manipulated towards whatever goal that people want to use it for. That is why this conversation will not just be a one-off. We'll have more of it. Thank you so much for coming through.
Absolute pleasure.
Lagos will go on a quick break. Then we'll come back and take your reactions on some of the deep fakes that you've seen, you've heard, you've even helped spread at some point. Stay here. Don't go away.
Our conversation captures everything that makes a great conversation.
Nigerian English is not exactly standard English.
It will only produce results if we have judges that have fear of God.
Many women may not realize they are anemic until it's quite severe.
When you say baby factory, is it that they used to build industry? Why don't you for? Why? And who will help the citizens? Who will fear?
On Nigeria's #1 talk radio station, 99.3, Let's Talk.
Welcome back to Hard Facts. That conversation you just listened to right now, you don't know how important it is. So, Vina, I was on TikTok, no, on Twitter yesterday.
Okay.
So I saw a video of a cat.
Okay.
The cat was walking on an electric wire, and the cat got to, I think they call that thing jumper, on the electric pole, and the jumper shocked the cat. And the cat fell down with the hair on its body standing up and everything. Looked so real. And I believed it. To be honest with you, I believed it. But usually I go to comment to go and find out whether it's real or not. And when I went to the comment section, the first comment was, Grok, confirm if this is AI or not. And believe you me, that thing
Was AI.
was AI. You look, it's so believable.
Wow.
It is so believable.
Wow. I think these days we've grown in the use of AI. Like we've so much, grown in the use of it, and it is very, very difficult to tell which is fake and which is real. Because recently, I have a friend who's a broadcaster as well. So recently, one of her videos that she did when she was talking about the business news, it was used for a Ponzi scheme.
Oh my.
Yes. So she just, what I saw was a disclaimer. And I was like, at what point? And you would actually think she was the one doing this.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, whoever did this, well done. It was actually well done.
Now imagine what that will do during elections.
Exactly.
All they just need to do is to put Professor Josh Amokmit on somewhere and put a couple of people around him, and then he announces the results, one result, and then,
I almost called her to say, girl, at what point did you start doing all this kind of thing? It was just remaining small. I'm like, when she was like, no, it's, I'm like, yeah. Wow. So I think it has to be checked. It has to be checked, considering the fact that it's election period, and we wouldn't want all these kind of things happening during exam. Just imagine if it's once the results are not even real, and we just keep getting this kind. No. It's going
for those who don't know, actually, I mean, it's the earlier times, the earlier days of AI was when you could actually tell straight up. You would know, because sometimes the voice will sound metallic in a way.
Yes.
So, but now it's gotten more sophisticated now that you can't tell. Like you literally can't tell. The person will sound normal. Their voice will be like, they will look like themselves, but they are not the one that did that video, and it's quite scary. I'm going to open up the telephone lines to hear from people who probably must have seen some deep fakes before. I mean, deep fakes just means that video content, online content that you see, but it's difficult for you to be able to differentiate whether it's fake or